Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, students. Hope you are doing well. In this session, we will continue our discussion in this course. And uh, as I already write in our syllabus, our topics in this session is about the IoT landscape, and I decided to add one issues in this session, and it is about the ethical issues related to IoT. Sorry. So before we going further discussing the landscape and the ethical issues related to IoT, I would like to revisit the definition of IoT, the fundamental concept of IoT. So IoT has been developed since we experienced the fourth wave of industrial revolution. As we know that the first wave of industrial revolution is agricultural revolution, and the second wave one is industrial revolution, and the third one is information technology. And now we are dealing with the fourth wave of revolution, industrial revolution, I mean. And it is very we I mean we have experienced a huge revolution in this a huge evolution in this phase of revolution. I mean in this at this moment we can see that the communication has been developed very rapid and massive, and we even can communicate at any time, at any situations, and it could even be practiced with a minimal human intervention, right? And that's the point where IoT exists. Yeah. In a simple way, we can understood we can understand that IoT actually is a intersection between internet things and data, right? And things could be anything. Things or object could be anything. It could be home appliances, it could be phone, it could be cars, it could be animals, it could be plants, right? And IoT with the presence of IoT, we can see that the information exchange between manufacturer, operator, and any connected device with internet is become easier, and we can make a monitoring and control function toward the the relationship between the manufacturer, the operator, and the internet itself. Yeah. That's because IoT. That's the benefits of IoT. So, in summary, with the presence of IoT, uh, we can connect various objects at any time and anywhere through the internet. And as I mentioned previously, um, with um, with those connection between various objects through the internet, we can monitor and control things from anywhere in the world. And the monitor and control function could be done by anything. It could be human, it could be machine, yeah, and uh, yeah, I think that's the main goal of IoT. Uh, and then we will talk about the applications of IoT. As um, as we have already discussed in the previous meetings, um, the development of IoT allows us to to implement the benefit of IoT on um, several things, right? Several dimension of human life. We can apply the IoT in transportation, environmental monitoring, and then medical and healthcare service, in home automation, energy management, and then media, agriculture, and security. I already discussed about this in our previous meeting, so um, I would not like to explain it again in this session. And commonly, when we talk about IoT, so there will be two aspects that we should understand about the IoT. Uh, these aspects are the basic of the IoT, and it is architecture of IoT, and the second one is the security of IoT. Uh, those two aspects, as I mentioned before, is crucial for understanding the IoT. First, we will talk about the architecture of IoT. Um, although IoT has been developed as as a subject of study, and then as a way to as a way of life, as a practice, but actually there is no single consensus about um, the explanation of IoT architecture. So there is a different view. There are different view about the architecture of IoT, but most of the researchers and scholars in IoT studies argue that there are three layers of IoT, as you can see in this slide. The first layer is a perception layer, and the second layer is a network layer, and the third layer is the application layer. The first layer, which is perception layer, is also known as the recognition layer. So why it is also known as a recognition layer? Because the primary responsible, the primary task of this layer is to collect and transform useful information from things or environment into a digital setup. Um, Several examples of this task or this responsibility usually um, done by several device like wireless sensor network or um, humidity or temperature sensors. Wireless sensor networks usually used to to um, to monitor. For example, if you have um, a farm, if you have a farm and you plant, uh, let's say, tomatoes, for example, and that farm, you will be um, it will be hard for you if you live in the city while your farm is in the town. So it will be hard for you to monitor, to control your farm, right? You have to go to the from the city to the town every day. It will be hard for you, but with the help of with the presence of wireless sensor network, WSN, you can easier to monitor your farm in the town. You can put the WSN on your farm, and this device called sensor, uh, just like humidity and then the climate, either it is rain or not, whether it is hot or not. You can uh, you can you can be helped with these things, the WSN, and then the WSN will collect and transform the information about the climate, the humidity, and then use the sensors, send the information to a digital setup. That's the primary task of this layer, the perception layer. The perception layer also could be used to identify and communicate with short range technology like RFID and then Bluetooth or NFC. Yeah. So RFID usually used in a highway management in a developed country. Usually, it use like sensors, and it could be placed in your car, and then if your car pass a highway, then the RFID can identify the cost that you should pay when you pass the highway. That's the function of RFID. Um, Another short range technologies is Bluetooth. I think you are. I think it is well known. I think you are familiar with this device. Also, NFC. I think um, most of you already have a gadget or phone that have NFC on that, right? Um, it's also the example of perception layer. Yeah, so you can use NFC to read and to sorry, to identify information from your e-money. For example, you can see the balance of your e-money using the NFC uh, that attach on your phone, and that's the another example of the perception layer. So the NFC technology, the Bluetooth, and then the RFID uh, is the example of sorry the example of perception layer. And then the second layer of the IoT architecture is a network layer. Um, for a conventional IoT architecture, this layer is well known as the brain of IoT architecture. Why it is called as a brain of IoT? Because this layer have a primary this layer has a primary responsibility to secure the transmission of data between the um, perception layer and the application layer. So we have already talked about the perception layer, and we will later discuss about the application layer, the third layer of IoT. And the primary function of network layer is um, make sure that the transmission of data between the perception layer, between the RFID, between the WSN to the application layer. That's why a lot of academicians call this layer as a brain layer. Yeah. Usually, this layer is internet-based convergence of communication and networks. Yeah. And the last layer is application layer. I'm sorry, there is a mistake that I made. I still write perception in this slide, but actually this is explanation about application layer. So the application layer is a top layer of IoT architecture, and it becomes the the most the closest layer to users. Yeah. So uh, what we are already used in our daily lives, just like gadget, and then the CCTV systems, and then the IoT device in our cars. That actually the top layer of IoT architecture, which is application layer. So the primary responsibility of this layer is um, to link the gap between the users and the application. Yeah. Um, as as I mentioned before, we already familiar with this layer, as we usually use this kind of layer in our daily lives, such as gadget, such as health monitoring, for a purpose of health monitoring, just like smartwatch, and the for disaster monitoring. We can find it, for example, for early warning system for tsunami, for example. That's the example of application layer of IoT. Um, Before we talk about the security aspects of IoT, I'd like to bring you to a discussion about the ethical issues on IoT. Um, I think you are already familiar with this kind of discussion because we are dealing with these topics in our daily lives, just like social media, and then yeah, I think social media is the closest topics that are related with the ethical issues on IoT. But actually, um, there is a broader discussion about the ethical issues on IoT, and there are a number of issues that are prominent, that are very popular, and these slides show you about that. Several issues are related about the violations of privacy, for example. Um, it's become a popular issues related to IoT because um, there is uh, a concern. There is a concern that um, our data, or our conversation, for example, or um, our current um, our current activities could be monitored by or through the IoT. For example, several years ago, I watched movies that captured the concern about the violations of privacy. On that movies, it is um, it is um, presented that um, that just like several parties, several institutions, uh, more particularly the intelligence, for example, of a country, could monitor our activities through the webcam of our device. It could be through our laptops, or or gadgets, and uh, and through our CCTV, for example. There is a concern about that. There is a concern about the violations of privacy. Although the institutions that are addressed uh, to 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 that to that concerns deny that they are doing the violations of privacy, but actually people until now um, is still worried about the violations of privacy. The recent example is about that the new policy that announced by WhatsApp, for example. Yeah. WhatsApp, through the announcement on their applications, notify the users that they should agree with the new rules of the applications, and several points on that new rules stated that the user should provide their data to Facebook. And this is also the another example of how people are very worried about the violations of privacy. The users of WhatsApp, um, most of them are worried if the data, if their conversation will be recorded by WhatsApp and provided by Facebook for the for their interest, for their benefits, yeah, and it becomes a great issue recently, yeah. Another issue related to the ethical discussion of IoT related to the misuse of data. Yeah? I think you are familiar as well with this topic of discussion, just like uh, what we usually experience is suddenly you receive a call from marketers of a product, and even we can predict where actually they get our phone number, right? And it becomes an issue because uh, it is it is presumed that they get our data from our devices, right? From our data in the devices, just like in the um, information that we provided when we register to social media, when we register to online marketplace. There is a concern that people are there is an issue that um, people um, presume that um, the uh, the telephone marketers illegally using the data that we provide to to like I said before, to the social media or to the online marketplace that we register to that, right? And then another issue is about the ambiguity of copyright. um, uh, there is there are several popular cases where people um, or or an institution the use the photography, for example, of a person without any permission. This is the example of the ambiguity of copyright in IoT. And then the identity theft, it is also related to the misuse of data, and then problems of control and access to information. This is another issue. And the last one that is also also important is related to the freedom of speech and expression. As we as we as we already know that there are several cases where people express their their hate speech on their social media, and it become a it is uh, sentenced by a court as a form of hate speech. It's already um, become an become an interesting issue in our country. And then another discussion about this issue is related to how people become very rude in social media, while we know that as as East culture country, uh, we are popularly known as people that very polite, right? But uh, um, I have no idea how people become very rude in social media, and this has become the ethical issues of another issues of IoT related to the ethical discussion. And uh, based on these ethical issues on IoT, um, the, the discussion about security become important, right? Um, the discussion about security related to IoT uh, uh, particularly become more important because that ethical issues, and there are another factors like heterogeneity and large-scale objects of IoT. Um, as we know that um, the use of IoT device become more developed than the previous decades, and it makes the heterogeneity of IoT has increased in recent decades. Um, and the number of IoT device is also increased rapidly, and it makes the the object scale of IoT become larger, and it complicates the security of IoT, um, especially as I said before. There is unethical issues related to IoT that complicates the IoT discussion, the IoT security discussion. And then um, we can also discuss the security of IoT the in term of two categories, namely diversity of things and communication of things. You know that, as I mentioned previously, uh, the number of IoT device has been developed rapidly in these recent decades, and it can increase the possibility of a new device, of a new IoT device that is uh, carel, uh, carelessly produced, right? And if the producers is careless in producing the IoT device, so there will be opportunities for malware or backdoor installation to that kind of devices. And then in terms of the communication things, um, you know that with the development of IoT, the device also have been developed with the new technology for of course, right? And 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 that makes the security issues become more complicated since uh, the new device means that it also needs the new security, right? Um, the challenge for that new device, the security challenge for the new device will become different with the previous device. That's why the communication things become another factors that affected by the development of IoT. And then there are we will talk about the several key IoT properties that um, create multiple security problems and raise additional security requirements. Um, the first key features is the embedded use. You know that a major IoT device are used in a single way, just like CCTV. It is used in a single way, in a single pattern, right? Like your phone, your gadget, you are using that kind of IoT device in a single way. As a result, users can be profiled by detecting the communication patterns that are unique to a specialized device. Um, Another key features uh, that need additional security requirements is wireless, because anyone who are nearby the wireless may intercept the wireless communication, yeah. And then um, the scale. The third one is the scale. This means that since the IoT devices are convenient to use, there is a increasing number in the IoT device growth, and um, this makes difficult for the users to monitor the privacy issues, right? And then the fourth one is about the mobility. We know that uh, IoT devices are mobile and often connect to the internet via a wide range of providers. That's why it needs more security requirements. And the fourth one is the diversity. Um, we know that uh, the IoT device range from the lowest technology to the highest technology, to the advanced technology. That's why uh, every device of IoT, even the simplest one, also need the additional security requirements. And there are several requirements of security that should be maintained by the IoT device developer. It starts from resilience against attack. It could be a virus or it could be a malware. So the IoT device should be anticipate any kind of attacks, right? And then the second one is the secure access to the network. The IoT developers should um, should make sure that uh, anyone that use network should be authorized. Yeah. And then secure environment for execution, and then data authentication. So uh, the users that use IoT device should be authenticated. That's why when we log in to uh, to uh, to our account, like in social media or online marketing, online marketplace application, we will be sent um, an email or number for authentication, right? That um, that allows the IoT provider, our IoT developer, to authenticate our data. And then the next one is about access control. So um, the the users of IoT device should have a control, or they should uh, have an access to monitor the data that they provide. For example, the basic information related to them, they can change it, they can monitor it. For example, the password, they should have an access to reset the password. They should have an access to reset the phone number. For example, they should have access um, to replace the for example, the address. Yeah, that's the example how access control should be given to the users of IoT device. And then the client privacy, it should be also provided by the IoT developer for their users, just like the issues of WhatsApp that I already mentioned before. Um, Actually, WhatsApp should give client or users their privacy. And actually, WhatsApp already clarify the um, the ambiguous information related to the new policy, and they say that actually they will still cannot read what we will discuss in our conversation. They will have no access to the chats that we have. That's the example of the client privacy. And then the user identification, and then availability and safe content. It's also the other aspects that should be guaranteed by the IoT device developer. And then the secure storage, what we save in our gadget, what we save in our laptops, what we um, save in our cloud storage. There should be a guarantee that that kind of data will be safe on the storage. That's the security requirements that should be given by the IoT provider. You um, uh, yeah, I think that's all about the security requirements. Um, we have already discussed this slide, right? So I think that's all for this session. Um, Thank you very much for your attention. See you in the next session. Hope you will stay safe and healthy. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.